There is a little eyeball up in the right corner that has, if you click on that, you can get the rosters. There's info about the tournament, including the schedule. There's also a donation button. This is a free broadcast provided to you by Toronto Roller Derby, but if you want to sort of allay some of the costs, it will, of course, be appreciated across the board.
Absolutely. And with that, we have the jammers lining up for the first jam of the game. For Roller Derby Quick, we've got Mini Small, number 92. And for Toronto Roller Derby, we've got Beaver Mansbridge, number 422.
And they will be lining up on the 12:34 Skate Co. start line, our sponsor for this tournament, for the start line.
Toronto Roller Derby taking the back, a braced three-wall formation. Roller Derby Quebec forming a cube in the front.
And in the footage that I've seen of RDQ, they do a lot of this arm brace blocking that we see, sort of that quad formation. We'll see if they drop back and play a little offense off the whistle as well.
Beaver Mansbridge punching up the center of that formation, pushing RDQ to the front. One more blocker to best, and she is your lead jammer first. Jam of the game. Panty is off for Mini Small. She's looking to give that to her pivot, who's recycled into the back by Bigley Smalls. Star cover still with the jammer, and that we have the handoff. Beaver Mansbridge, meanwhile, picking up her first scoring pass.
Looks like Getcha Kicks picked up an illegal procedure, probably a false start off the line.
This game day jitters. Roller Derby Quebec yet to complete that initial pass. The pivot stuck in behind the Toronto defense.
That defense down to 2 blockers now, Pink, as Stabby Road picked up a direction of gameplay.
Oh, and a track cut penalty going to number 988. That's Fifi Vabeshi. She's going to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box, and that's going to be a power jam, first jam of the game for Beaver Mansbridge and Toronto Roller Derby.
Yeah, and that's one of those really dangerous penalties because it's a pivot as a jammer in the box, Fifi not in the regular rotation. So,
yeah, so we may be looking, and we are looking at starting this next jam with a pivot fielded as jammer for Roller Derby Quebec. A 15-point jam for Beaver Mansbridge right off the hop, 15-0.
And one of the holdovers from last year is, of course, the coach of the team, Flying Brian Kilman, who got Beaver to call off that jam. So again, wise move on his part. You freeze the pivot turn jammer in the penalty box. You get that power start. Good work on CN Power. Or the All-Stars of Toronto.
The Toronto All-Stars, of course, a combined roster now of A and B. Lexicon driving up the center. Fresh pair of legs with the jammer star on. Makes it out. Lead jammer once again. Pushes to the front of that pack. And we have a bit of offensive help here from Betty Bomber as Fifi Vabeshi returns from the box, knocked out by Commander Will Recker and recycled. Lexicon recycled to the back of the pack by Soviet. And that's 5-point grand slam up on the board for Toronto. RDQ yet to score again. I don't see the star cover in Fifi Vabeshi's hand, and I don't see it on her helmet. But she still appears to be the jammer. Yeah, she is trying to hand that off. Another 4 points on the board for Toronto Roller Derby.
Yeah, Booty Allen is the pivot in this jam. I believe the star pass has been completed to her. She is part of the usual jammer rotation for Les Duchesses.
There we go. Lexicon trying to squeak by on the inside, and she manages it, calls off that jam, bringing that total to 13 points for Toronto Roller Derby. Your score 28-0 right now, 2 jams in.
So perhaps a little inexperience, a little bit of nerves on the part of the team from Quebec City, Quebec. First time at a big tournament like Quad City Chaos. It's great that they got invited here. Fantastic that the hosts brought them in, but down 28-0 early on. And on the 12:34 Skate Co start line, we've got Beat on Quads.
And Devachka from Toronto Roller Derby wearing the star in the pink. Beat on the quads being moved off the track by Stabby Road. There's a 3 formation in the back. Getcha Kicks looking to keep pack in the front. Devashka just pushing up the center. And that is lead jammer status 3 times in a row for Toronto Roller Derby.
Stabby Rhodes and Bigley Smalls doing a great job of holding back Beat on in the back.
It's a very good duo we're seeing here. And a power jam. It's a forearm penalty for Beaten on the quads. Second power jam of the game, only 3 jams in.
Now, Devo got to play a little bit with the All-Stars last year, I believe, but had concussion problems. And so really didn't, she was called up but didn't get to play in the playoffs at all last year.
Interesting. She's certainly having a good time of it here, especially with this offensive help from Toronto Roller Derby, just laying in wait as she comes up on the pack. Stabby Road boxcar making the way for her. Beaten on the quads, returning to the track now while Devashka picks up another 5-point grand slam.
And this is Beaten on the quads' first pass, so not on a scoring pass yet.
Very separated pack we're seeing here. Boxcar trying to bridge. Tank Girl bracing in the front. Roller Derby Quebec very good at reforming their formations, but having a hard time with the push here from the jammers. And a note to people watching at home, this is a very slippery surface, which Toronto Roller Derby is accustomed to. RDQ not so much.
Another direction of gameplay at the end of that jam. Looks like it's going to send Beat on the quads back to the penalty box.
That is correct. So a 19-point jam for Devashka brings our score up to 47-0. So we are 3 jams in. Roller Derby Quebec not on the board yet and not fielding a jammer for the start of this jam, right, as Beaten on the quads serves her 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, three jammer penalties in the first 3 jams makes it pretty darn tough to stay competitive early on.
Absolutely, and the mental effect of not having that momentum there.
So Wolverina getting the jam for the All-Stars and bringing back the tutu as well, Pink's Lemonade.
For which she is so beloved. Toronto Roller Derby goading number 27, Booty Allen, in the back. Wolverina doing a quick spin around the outside of turn 1, picking up a quick 5-point grand slam. We have Beaten on the quad standing in the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. Wolverina taking the outside again, but RDQ is ready for her. Cuts to the in, picks up another scoring pass. Beaten on the quads, pushing up the center of that formation, getting held up by Commander Will Wrecker and Monster Muffin. And Beat on the quads, completing her initial pass, chased down by Wolverina. She gets the signal to call off that jam. 14 points for Wolverina. These have been some big jams for Toronto Roller Derby. 61 points in only 4 jams.
That's right, multiple scoring passes in each one of the first 4 jams of this game for Toronto's All-Stars. We do have sponsors of Quad City Chaos. Wicked Skatewear loves to make you look and feel fabulous. Plus, we like glitter and neon, a lot of neon. Visit wickedskatewear.com to experience the shenanigans.
Beaver Mansbridge taking the jammer line once again up against Easy Gonzalez. Recycled to the back by Toronto. Bigley Smalls and Boxcar working with Stabby Road in the back there. Beaver Mansbridge pushing through the front of that pack to get lead jammer status. 5 lead jammer statuses in 5 jams. Easy Gonzalez taking to the outside, recycled by Stabby Road. Beaver Mansbridge heading right into the back of number 71. That's going to be a back block, sending her to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box.
Yeah, Bloody Poppins unable to retain her feet after that hard hit by Beaver. So now a big opportunity for RDQ and Les Duchesses to pick up some points here, Pink's Lemonade.
Yeah, no lead jammer for this jam. We're going to go 2 minutes. If Easy Gonzalez can complete her initial, we can finally see RDQ get on the board.
RDQ is going to have to figure out some offense to break up this wall of pink that's just been stifling their jammer all game long.
Yeah, you can see the cohesiveness between these three Toronto roller derby blockers. They are really not giving the jammer an inch of space. Stabby Road lost to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box, and an initial pass finally completed for Roller Derby Quebec. Beaver Mansbridge returning to the track. Quick 5-point grand slam for Beaver Mansbridge. Another 35 seconds for Roller Derby Quebec to try and rack up those points.
Easy Gonzalez completing that first pass, but man, took a long time to get out of that pack.
Pushing up the center of this formation, she might be able to sneak a point in or two, even if she doesn't complete this pass, just by squeezing her hips past those blockers. Beaver Mansbridge, meanwhile, recycled to the back. RDQ almost spurned on by this slight change of pace. Another penalty, a track cut to Beaver Mansbridge is going to send her to the penalty box for the second time this jam.
Time's going to run out on the jam. That's going to give RDQ a power start. Looking to see how many points the team from Quebec managed to get, all 5 of them. Easy Gonzalez able to wiggle her hips past every skater in pink, picks up all 5, including the point for Beaver in the penalty box. RDQ with a nice cheer from their bench as they celebrate the goose egg being broken.
7-5 jam is going to leave us with 68-5 points. We are just over 10 minutes into this first half.
And on the 12:34 skate co-start line for this power start going to be number 92, Minnie Small.
Minnie Smalls taking a cue from Toronto, just driving up the center of that formation. She squeezes by, gets lead jammer status. Big haulers from the Les Duchesses bench.
Full-on offense from Les Duchesses.
Bomber with the recycle in the front here, but Minnie Smalls has found her stride, picks up a 5-point grand slam. And Beaver Mansbridge exiting the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. RDQ just grabbing her like a vice in the back there.
Well, Beaver is quite diminutive too, so even though RDQ does not have the largest blocker, she's still small.
She almost busted through like a saloon door, and then they just closed on her in the back there, but it worked out well for her. She completed that initial pass, forced a call off by RDQ. 4 more points on the board for Les Duchesses. So that's a 9-point jam.
Yeah, nice 9-0 jam for RDQ. This is kind of what we expected from Les Duchesses. Once they can keep their skaters on the track, they can be competitive, but it's something that CN Power managed to stifle them for the first little bit of this game. Still a decent lead for Toronto, 68-14, 18 and a half minutes to go in the first half. And on the 12:34 skate co-start line, beat on the quads. And
Lexicon.
There she is.
Lexicon in pink taking the outside, picks up quick lead jammer status. Bigley Smalls recycling, beating on the quads into the back of that pack. Some offensive help here from Soviet. Bigley Smalls doing one-on-one blocking against Beaton on the quads, loses her in the front. Lexicon has a few seconds to score, and the yell comes from flying Brian Kilman. 2 points on the board for Toronto Roller Derby. A very quick little jam there.
Yeah, and again, with Toronto having this wide lead at the moment, more important for Toronto to keep points off the board than to match points, if you're looking at it from a ranking points perspective. So good call off by the bench, good call off by Lexicon, keeping RDQ at 0 for that jam, 14 total in the game. Toronto at 70, 17 and a half minutes remaining in the first half. And on that 12:34 skate coast start line is going to be Easy Gonzalez going up against Devochka.
Absolutely, and psychologically, Toronto Roller Derby is not going to want RDQ to run away with this streak here. They've sort of come back after those penalties. Devochka, your lead jammer for CN Power. Easy Gonzalez racing up the inside as Toronto Roller Derby loses blocker after blocker to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box.
Yeah, victory lap went for a direction of gameplay.
Bigley Smalls as well.
Monster Muffin went for a out-of-play block.
Oh, yes, Monster Muffin.
But a single point grabbed at the end of that jam. So again, another 0-point jam for RDQ, 1 point for Toronto, 71-14 is the score. Speaking of 1234 Skateco, they are not just a sponsor of the Starline, they're a sponsor of this whole tournament. 1234 Skateco supplies Peterborough and the surrounding 705 area with roller skates and roller derby equipment. They offer skate maintenance classes, fresh meat training, and minimums testing. 1234skateco.com.
Mini Small wearing the star in blue for Les Duchesses, and Wolverina wearing it in pink for the Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars. Mini Small makes it around. Oh no, cuts the track in front of Boxcar. She's headed to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box, which means Wolverina still has a chance to cinch lead jammer status. Or does she? No.
Oh, so we're going to go the full 2 minutes with Wolverina staying out there. We will get Mini Small returning from the penalty box when she clears it out.
So Wolverina called up as an alt for this game. This is an important part of the Bruisers jammer rotation last year. She's going to have to be out there for 2 minutes. The Toronto Roller Derby defense is going to have to hold off the Les Duchesses for that time. And Mini Small returning from the Camp Roller Derby penalty box as the Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars set up in the back. Wolverina recycled to mid-pack.
Direction of gameplay sending the pivot for Les Duchesses to the Camp Derby penalty box.
Mini Smalls completing her initial pass. And a high block penalty to Wolverina is going to send her to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. We now have a power jam for Les Duchesses.
So 4 jammer penalties for RDQ and 3 for Toronto so far in this game.
Big jersey whip. Mini Smalls propels herself into the defense. Victory lap looking to actually hold off the offensive blockers from her formation. Big hit from Boxcar on the outside of the straightaway.
Boxcar, a really nice addition to this team for 2016.
Transferred to us from the Nord All-Stars, formerly of both New Skids and Rose City. She's a 10-year roller derby skater. 5 points all in that last pass. It's going to make it a 5-5 jam, 76-19, about a quarter of the way through this game.
And both jammers are out of the Camp Derby penalty box. That means we'll have both jammers from either team on the track.
Imagine.
It's so nice.
Oh.
It seems to have been a rarity in this game with 14 minutes left to have 2 jammers on.
Pack advantage to the All-Stars. Beaver Mansbridge sliding up around her formation, and quick offense from Commander Will Recker. A hit out on by hit to the side by Soviet, pushing her blocker into Beaver Mansbridge. They're pushed to the front of the engagement zone. Lead jammer status to Toronto. Beaten on the quads, squeaking by Commander Will Recker, and Beaver Mansbridge recycled back by Soviet. She gets the yell, picks up 1 point for Toronto Roller Derby.
And again, Beaver is one of those skaters that was called up last year for Toronto's All-Stars. Both her and Lexicon went out to the playoffs, both getting their first experience of Division I WFTDA action out in the playoff arena, and both performing quite well out there. So they'll have to hold down the fort down for Toronto while Mad Megs is still in recovery. And we'll see how Wolverina pitches in with that as well.
Yeah, they've had a taste of playoffs, and they want it again for this season for sure. Lexicon showing a lot of strength and punch at the front of this pack. And for Roller Derby Quebec, we've got Easy Gonzalez trying to sneak around Boxcar on the outside, just being brought back and forth from one line to the other by the Toronto defense. Roller Derby Quebec setting up in front, recycling Lexicon on her scoring pass. We have a stash by Les Duchesses. Easy Gonzalez holding the jammer penny. And a pass off to number 988, Fifi Vabeshi.
That's going to force the call off. Another 5 points grabbed by Toronto. 5-0 jam, 82-19 is the score. First game of Quad City Chaos 2016. We've got all sorts of action coming to you all day today and tomorrow. Up after this game will be Tri-City All-Stars will be facing off against the Queen City Lake Effect Furies again. More high-level WFTDA action, and then we'll have some B teams where someone on this broadcast might be playing.
Timeout looks to be called by the Toronto bench. So we can tell you a little bit more about the WFTDA recognized tournament program, Quad City Chaos being one of them, Clover Cup in Dallas this weekend also. And they recognize and support high-quality WFTDA member-hosted tournaments worldwide. Allowing for various tournament structures, the recognized tournament program establishes a consistent standard for tournament officiating and games management, and you can see a complete schedule of those tournaments at WFTDA.com/events.
Fantastic. So we have a timeout sponsor as well, Roller Derby Athletics, fantastic part of Toronto right now. I believe Booty Quake has been trying to keep the All-Stars fit all year long. So this official timeout is brought to you by Roller Derby Athletics, the official training partner of Toronto Roller Derby. TORD would like to thank Roller Derby Athletics for making them safe, strong, and unstoppable. For off-skate fitness training, check out their programs at rollerderbyathletics.com.
Yeah, Booty Quake doesn't just make your booty quake when she hits you. She makes it quake a couple days later when it's spasming because you're so sore after her intense workouts, which you can find on her website. Mini Small wearing the star in blue for Les Duchesses, and Devotchka backing way up for the Toronto Roller Derby. We are behind the Toronto Roller Derby bench right now, so with all these pillars here, just take my word for it. Racing up the outside in pink, it's Devotchka for the Toronto Roller Derby Outstars, taken out by Bloody Poppins. Up at the front, Mini Small trying to push through Betty Bomber and Commander Will Wrecker. A cluster of a pack, and who's going to take advantage of the chaos? One hand down, and then finally knocked out. Mini Small not making a lot of headway. Devotchka looking to break this pack apart in the front. And we finally have a lead jammer for Toronto in pink. Mini Small's huge punishing hit from Betty Bomber, recycled to the back with star cover in hand. Betty Bomber took 2015 off of roller derby, but she was a Toronto Roller Derby All-Star the year before. Nice jump over her hips here, but Mini Small still working on that initial pass.
Really nice solo work at the front of the pack by Bloody Poppins. Tried to hold up Devo. Devo finally getting through for 5 points for Toronto.
Toronto Roller Derby taking back some of that momentum. A really punishing jam so far for Mini Smalls. Her pivot standing in the camp roller derby penalty box. Tumble at the front, and it's going to be a low block to one of the members of Les Duchesses. Looks like that's Vivi Ronkainen. Heading to the camp roller derby penalty box. Another 5-point grand slam for Toronto. Mini Small has passed the jammer star to her pivot, offering some offense to her pivot turn jammer, and that is number 27, Booty Allen. Another 4 points go up for Devotchka, a 14-point jam, bringing Toronto Roller Derby within striking distance of the century mark with less than 10 minutes left in the half. Your score 96-19 for Toronto.
So Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars sort of answering the question as to whether or not their defense would be quite as strong as it was with all the changes. And often that can be one of the biggest things that takes time to remold is that synergy that you have in those pyramids and quads. CN Power is doing a great job holding back the jammers from Les Duchesses.
Yeah, a lot of it is about learning each other and just understanding implicitly where your partner is going to be, what they need from you. And Toronto Roller Derby doing a very good job of that in this game. Lead jammer status, of course, going to Wolverina number 1111 in the pink tutu, being chased down by Les Duchesses jammer, beaten on the quads. Picks up 3 points as she busts into the middle of that pack. Your score 99-19, 80 points separating these teams.
And our sponsor for the penalty box is, of course, Camp Roller Derby. Roller Derby goes to camp. Gather for a fun, nostalgic back-to-basics camp weekend with skaters, officials, and organizers from derby leagues across Ontario. The weekend will foster both structured and casual opportunities for brainstorming, idea sharing, and cooperation, mixed and complementary off-skates activities. Camp Roller Derby.
On your 12:34 start line, Easy Gonzalez versus Beaver Mansbridge, recycled by Bloody Poppins, entering in just in front of her blocker contingent. Pushing on a 3 formation in the front, Commander Will Recker headed to the box as Toronto picks up lead jammer status. Easy Gonzalez with the stash makes it around the Toronto defense. And Beaver Mansbridge coming in with speed, hoping to pick up as many points as she can. Oh, that was a last-minute call-off by Beaver Mansbridge.
Just in time. Grabs the 4, shuts the door. 4-0 in that jam for Toronto. Beaver doing a really nice job of being able to bait the wall of RDQ out to the outside so that she has just enough room to skip back to the inside. She's got that speed advantage. That's how she's picking up those lead jammer over and over again.
Well, and she has that force, too. So if she comes at you at full speed, you really have no reason not to think she's not going to smash right in. She's got a lot of strength, a lot of muscle.
Yeah, she's a
but
solid
she can
rock.
Move that momentum so quickly. Commit and quit. We have Lexicon jamming for Toronto and Fifi Vabeshi jamming for Les Duchesses. Lexicon hoping to find that space on the inside. And a track cut to Lexicon leaves lead jammer open for Fifi Vabeshi. RDQ on the power jam.
And I kind of like this switch up by Les Duchesses. Their smaller jammers having a bit of trouble getting past that static wall of Toronto, but putting someone with a little more size like Fifi Vabeshi, they pick up lead.
Yeah, Toronto really good at just slowing that pack down, not giving an inch when they're blocking. Can become very frustrating for a jammer, especially one who's on the smaller side.
And exhausting. I mean,
yeah.
Just getting beat up for 2 minutes is never fun.
Rude. Fifi Vabeshi working up against Getcha Kicks, Will Recker, and Boxcar. Bigley Smalls reforming at the front, and they are just absorbing her over and over again. Meanwhile, Lexicon has returned from the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. Racing through on the inside. She completes that initial pass. Fifi Vabeshi has had enough. 5 points on the board for RDQ. Your score now 103-24, just under 6 minutes left in this first half.
So again, that for me as a coach, that might be a bit of a mistake for RDQ in that they had control of the jam. They're down by about a 4-1 margin. It's the kind of thing where you can actually give up points and still actually benefit from continuing to run that jam. It's not something you think of in a normal game. You want to eliminate points from the other team. But from a ranking points, they're a newly graduated team. They might have wanted to run that jam till its conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, it's with the way the game is going now and this kind of spread, we're probably not looking at a huge RDQ comeback. So if they can just rack up as many points as they can. As I say this, Devochka headed to the penalty box on a track cut penalty, leaving lead jammer open for Les Duchesses.
So we'll see what they do with this power jam.
Beaten on the quads, coming in carefully into this pack. Betty Bomber goaded at the back by RDQ. And a forearm penalty is going to send Beaten on the quads to the box. We are switching this up. It's going to be a 2-minute jam now. Power jam for Toronto Roller Derby.
Devo still on her first pass. Got to complete that.
Devo just racing out of that penalty box, looking to make as much of this as she can. Rosemary's Rabies trying to offer some offense in the front here. And Roller Derby managing to pull apart the pack.
Forearm penalty to Bomber is going to take her off the track.
Devochka reabsorbed in the front by RDQ. Meanwhile, Beaten on the quads returning to play. Nice little offense here from her blocker, Soviet. And Devochka pushing way to the front with RDQ. That is a out of play penalty to the pivot from Les Duchesses.
That's Booty Allen.
Beaten on the quads, recycled over and over again by Toronto Roller Derby. Finally picks up that 5-point grand slam. Devotchka coming back for more, making it through, gets her 4 points. We are just trading back and forth right now. Big re-entry from Bomber. And a nice hit on the outside here by Monster Muffin.
Monster Muffin in victory lap, having a really good jam defensively for Toronto. 2 additional points picked up by RDQ. 4. So look at that, 7-7 in that jam.
After all of that.
All that work, it ends up being a tie. Favors RDQ really in the ranking points wise, but on the scoreboard, nothing really changed. Differential 110 for Toronto, 31 for RDQ. 3 minutes remaining in the first half of this first game of Quad City Chaos 2016. We're going to get Wolverina taking line, going up against Easy Gonzalez on that 12:34 skate co-start line.
3-3 pack, as we've seen a lot of penalties racked up in the last few jams. A very, very professional, very highly certified ref crew we have here at QCC, and they are not letting anything by. Wolverina, your lead jammer for the Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars. Easy Gonzalez recycled to the back. Attempted jump over the hips of Fifi Vabeshi by Wolverina, recycles her to the back, and now initial pass completed for RDQ. She hears the call, she makes the call, she picks up 1 point.
And Les Duchesses at the beginning of this game really picked up a lot of penalties, have played it relatively clean over the last half of this half. Toronto, on the other hand, has picked up a lot more penalties than RDQ has. They're sitting on 20 trips to that Camp Derby penalty box during this game, 15 for RDQ. One of the skaters on RDQ, Soviet, has 4 trips to the Camp Derby penalty box. She had those 4 trips in the first 4 jams of this game, so she's played clean since.
Yeah, it seems that the more renewed RDQ gets, the more rattled Toronto Roller Derby gets. Lead jammer going to Beaver Mansbridge. And like you said, Lou, like they're going to want to shut down this score. It's not so much about their offense right now as it is their defense. And RDQ, learning that wall, learning those players, learning what they can and can't get away with from the refs.
So a nice, quick 3-0 jam for Beaver Mansbridge, 114-31. We'll give a shout out to Roller Bones. Roller Bones turbos and Bones Swiss bearings makes for a winning combination. You can find out all about them at rollerbones.com.
And it's beaten on the quads, wearing the star in blue for Les Duchesses. Lexicon jamming in pink for the Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars. A very compact pack here on the start line, and Lexicon just waiting.
Yeah, she's trying to get Bigley out of the penalty box.
Nice work here. Strategic move from Lexicon, and it pays off, and even just that hesitation sort of rattling the other team. Beaten on the quads, recycled back, knocked out just barely by Boxcar, working with Stabby Road in the rear here versus we've got the offense from Toronto Roller Derby in the front, but they completely miss Beaten on the quads when she makes it through. Quick call off, 5 points on the board for Toronto Roller Derby. Your score as we wind down this first half, 119-31, and a timeout called by Roller Derby Quebec, probably hoping to force another jam here.
Well, no, I think it's actually an official review called by Flying Brian in Toronto. I saw the O signal being pointed at.
Interesting.
It could have been RDQ wanted one as well, but yeah, we're getting an official review being taken by Toronto Roller Derby. Again, you don't get to keep them into the second half, so
it's true. You can't take them with you, guys.
Can't take them with you. So again, this official timeout is brought to you by Roller Derby Athletics, official training partner of Toronto Roller Derby. TORD would like to thank Roller Derby Athletics for making them safe, strong, and unstoppable. For off-skate fitness training, check out their programs at rollerderbyathletics.com. And again, that's the experience of Flying Brian on the bench, knowing how to use the rules to your advantage. We saw that with a little bump out as well of Lexicon on beat on the quads.
Yep.
She was able to bump her out, draw her back, and just sort of sat there. You could see that the Beaten wasn't quite sure what to do in that situation. Should she skate back? What was Lexicon baiting her into something? And so there was just sort of that standoff.
It just disrupts your whole mindset on the line where, jammers are sort of primed, they're ready. they're wound up, and if you disrupt that sort of timeline, if you make them wait, if you make them hesitate, it just throws you off so much. And that's that confidence from Lexicon having played at a high level last year.
Right, and it's not like Les Duchesses have no experience. Not like they're a brand new team.
No,
they've been around for years. They're well known within the Canadian Derby fabric, and we expect big things from them. But it's just these little things. Now we've got some updates on this from our alt, Joe the Locksmith.
So Captain Lou is going to talk about that timeout, and I'm going to tell you that Division 2 playoffs are happening this August in Wichita, Kansas and Lansing, Michigan. You can also catch Division 1 playoffs in Montreal, Quebec, Columbia, South Carolina, Vancouver, BC, and Madison, Wisconsin. And don't miss us on WFTDA.tv in Portland, Oregon in November for championships.
So the official review was Toronto wanted a cut call on the first pass by Beat on the Quads. In the previous jam, no referee saw a cut, therefore no cut will be issued, and we play the last jam right now, Pink.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Pixar, it didn't happen. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast, let alone who cut the track in the last jam. Divochka wearing the star in pink for Toronto Roller Derby, pushing up the front of this formation. Easy Gonzalez recycled to the back by Commander Will Recker. We have a very spread out pack right now. Roller Derby Quebec doing whatever they can to keep pack, and it's a power jam for Divochka. It's a track cut penalty to Easy Gonzalez. Is going to send her to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box.
So RDQ ending the half the way they started it, with a power jam being given up.
Absolutely, and doing a good job of recycling around Divochka and making the most of this power kill. Betty Bomber with a big sweep here on the middle from against Booty Allen, just trying to give Divochka that space. She's hit out and recycled by Soviet, who is not giving her an inch.
Yeah, that pack just keeps reabsorbing Divochka. She's having no luck getting out.
Oh my gosh, it's like going the wrong way on an escalator. Every step she takes, and they are one step in front of her here. This half with very few timeouts as well. These skaters are starting to get a little tired, and we have a parade of blockers heading to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. 4 in total, 2 from each team. A quick 5-point pickup by Easy Gonzalez, and a star pass to Betty Bomber.
Betty Bomber in her heyday was a jammer. Mostly blocks now, but can still get it done.
So Toronto Roller Derby choosing to give up lead in favor of continuing this jam with Betty Bomber wearing the star. A 4-point pickup by Easy Gonzalez. 3 points by Betty Bomber. That's going to be a 9-3 jam in favor of Roller Derby Quebec. As we head into the half, your score 122 Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars, 40 Roller Derby Quebec Duchesses.
And that last jam, all about the defense of RDQ, able to hold up Devo long enough to get their jammer out of the Camp Derby penalty box. They won that jam while having given up a power jam to Toronto. So
yeah, and I mean, you can see the quickness coming through, some of the confidence coming from Roller Derby Quebec. Those quick reforms, those recycles that don't take a whole lot of strength, don't even take a whole lot of energy, but can really sap the opposing jammer.
So going into the half, 122 for Toronto, 40 for Roller Derby Quebec. I'm Captain Lou Obamo.
I'm Pink Lemonade.
You're watching us on WFTDA.tv or Layer9.ca. Quad City Chaos 2016. We'll be back in about 14 minutes. back, Downsview Park, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Quad City Chaos 2016, Captain Lou Albamo.
Pink's Lemonade.
First game of the tournament. Toronto All-Stars, RDQ's Les Duchesses.
Smell of Derby in the morning.
Oh, yes.
It's beautiful. And that Canadian Tim Hortons coffee.
122-40, the lead for the hosts, Toronto. Interesting start to this game where Les Duchesses really were back on their heels, so they gave up a 60-plus point lead before they really got things moving. But
it was as high as 80 at one point, I think.
Yeah, and it's 82 right now, so they've managed to keep pace over the last 15 minutes or so of that half. Yeah. Penalty trouble, and amazingly, Toronto has more penalties than RDQ right now. They've got 22 trips to that Camp Derby penalty box. RDQ's had 18 trips, although they've had 6 jammer penalties to Toronto's 5 jammer penalties. That's where it
really hurts.
Yeah, Toronto's been really good at converting those jammer penalties, those power jams that they've had, into a lot of multi-scoring passes on the scoreboard. So that's where they've been able to put up the big numbers.
Yeah, we had several of those 15. I think we had 60-some points in the first 4 jams. So those big runs early on, they set the pace. A lot of strategic call-offs from Toronto Roller Derby, power starts, those kind of things. But yeah, I mean, and you've got, with the penalty issues, no one skater in much trouble, with the exception of Soviet on 5 from RDQ.
And again, she had 4 of those penalties in the first 4 jams of this game, so she's cleaned up her game as well. She stays at that pace, she may be able to stick around for the whole thing. Scoring-wise, look at Izzy Gonzalez and Minnie Small, both with 14 for Les Duchesses over on the Toronto All-Stars. Devochka is leading the pack out there with 41, but Lexicon has 25, Beaver has 30, and Wolverina with 26. So everyone getting the chip in that first half. We got the second half underway now, Pink.
Minnie Smalls picking up a quick lead jammer status for RDQ. Chased out of the pack by Beaver Mansbridge. A really short pack to start this jam. We had a ton of blocker penalties at the end of the last jam. Minnie Smalls is going to risk it. Quick call off on the outside, and that's a 0-all jam.
Beaver really wanted to get those 2. Now, one of the skaters we were interested in seeing had only picked up 2 in the first half was Commander Will Recker, a transfer from Tri-City, known for her hard-hitting tenacity and pugnaciousness on the track. Only 2 in the first half, picked up 1 in this jam, so now she's finally up to 3. But she's been a mainstay out there.
And Tri-City, of course, playing the next game against Queen City from Buffalo. That's at 12 o'clock here live on WFTDA.tv. Lexicon jamming in the pink for Toronto Roller Derby. And Bigley Smalls and Boxcar recycling the Les Duchesses jammer to the back.
That's Izzy Gonzalez.
Izzy Gonzalez trying to get her hips around Boxcar, veteran skater and recent transfer to Toronto Roller Derby. Lexicon picking up lead jammer, looking at her bench for some feedback. Weaving her way into that pack.
They're just cautiously making her way through.
Yeah.
I suspect that the bench of Toronto told their jammers, just keep it calm, keep it safe, no need to risk anything. And Lexicon picked up those easy 2 points off of RDQ, called it off. 124-40 is the score. 28 minutes, 30 seconds remaining in this first game of Quad City Chaos 2016, the 7th edition that Toronto Roller Derby has been able to put on. I've been here for 5 of them. Love this tournament each and every year that I can get here.
It's a great kickoff to the roller derby season as people try and gear up and make that playoff seeding on July 15th. Devochka jamming up against, looks like that's beaten on the quads for RDQ. Yes, it is. She is your lead jammer for Les Duchesses. Devochka making it out the front at full tilt and a much faster pack than we saw in this last half. Everyone taking a tumble here. It's a jammer's dream come true. 3 points go up on the board for RDQ.
Now in that jam, Soviet picked up a direction of gameplay. She's sitting in the Camp Derby penalty box with 6 trips now. She's been, I mean, I don't know that we mentioned at the beginning that RDQ is playing this game with 11 skaters. It's something that we've seen over the years with RDQ, both their home teams and their travel team, Les Duchesses. They have a tendency to like to run very short benches, so they don't even bother with 14.
It's a risky move. Let's see how it pans out, because you do not want to be ending up short as you run out of energy. Wolverina, of course, number 1111, jamming in the pink for Toronto Roller Derby. Mini Small jamming for RDQ. Getcha Kicks headed to the camp roller derby penalty box following Stabby Road. That's just what Mini Smalls needs to pick up lead jammer. Huge pack advantage here.
So blocker penalties continuing to plague Toronto, allowing RDQ to get lead jammer after lead jammer in his second half.
Mini Smalls just looking to squeak by, get a ghost point or two. She picks up all four, makes it around the two Toronto Roller Derby blockers. And 3 points to Wolverina. She's doing the air punch there.
So +4 to RDQ, +3 to Toronto, +1 overall to RDQ. Again, they started this half with 40, so they've managed to score 7 points to the 5 Toronto's has. Flying Brian Kilman not happy with the way things are going. He's going to call an early timeout in the second half. Doesn't like the chaos on the track again. This team timeout is brought to you by Roller Derby Athletics, official training partner of Toronto Roller Derby. TORD would like to thank Roller Derby Athletics for making them safe, strong, and unstoppable. For off-skate fitness training, check out their programs at rollerderbyathletics.com. And you can see on the screen right now both Getcha Kicks and Stabby Road sitting in that Camp Derby penalty box, which is why Flying Brian really wants to have this slowdown of the game.
So a quick official timeout, actually, to address the issue that 1-6 Stabby Road from Toronto Roller Derby received a penalty, but both number 1-6 and number 7-6, Getcha Kicks, headed to the box. So she is being released from the box. She is so honest. She went to the box for someone else's penalty, so we're going to have a 3-4 start, pack advantage to RDQ in this next jam.
And on that 12:34 skate coast start line, we're going to get
Easy Gonzalez, Beaver Mansbridge. And again, RDQ with that quick recycle to the front. They can get together, but can they keep Beaver Mansbridge behind? Easy Gonzalez, meanwhile, taken to the side by Getcha Kicks. Newly freed woman. Panty goes off as lead jammer goes to Beaver Mansbridge. Stabby Road racing out of the penalty box.
Star pass complete to Booty Allen on RDQ.
Stabby Road does a quick offense as she gets goaded by RDQ. Allows Beaver to squeak by a few blockers. It is coming down to the wire now as Booty Allen approaches. And jammer ref is convening with the OPR just to make sure he knows how. And it's 4 points in the air for Beaver Mansbridge.
So 4-0 jam for Toronto, 131-47 is the score. 25 minutes remaining in this game. Monster Muffin with a studio only 30 minutes north of Toronto. You can't get much more local than this. Monster Muffin clothing is proudly made in Canada, providing quality derby apparel to the world. Check them out and fall in love at monstermuffin.com.
Beat on the quads, wearing the star in blue for RDQ. Lexicon jamming in pink for Toronto Roller Derby. Quick offense here from Commander Will Wrecker, who then makes pack. And it's Lexicon with lead jammer. Commander Will Wrecker rejoining her defensive formation. Beat on the quads, being recycled back by Betty Bomber. Big sweep from Rosemary's Rabies, and she is out. Nice 5-point pickup for Lexicon there. Quick call off.
So that timeout really paying dividends. Flying Brian Kilman getting to reset the Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars. They've got their jammers on the track. They've got their blockers on the track. They've got points adding up on the scoreboard. So that brief little 4-jam mess that happened at the beginning of this second half seems to be back under control for Toronto. We'll see what Les Duchesses can do to cause that to swing back in their favor. It's going to be Mini Small going up against Divochka on that 12:34 skate coast start line.
And we've got Bigly Smalls at the front waiting to do offense for Divochka there. And it doesn't look like that timeout counted against Toronto because of the mix-up there with the penalties. The officials had to call one anyway. Lead jammer going to Divochka, and a hit out at the edge of that pack. Looks like an out-of-play penalty to the RDQ pivot. And finally, Mini Smalls completing her initial pass. Divochka coming in with speed. Nice hit there from Soviet. She's getting the yell to call. And a 3 points stolen by RDQ in that last pass. 4 points on the board for Toronto Roller Derby. Your score 140 to 50, 90 points separating these two teams.
A little bit of announcer curse in effect there as Toronto sends 2 blockers to the penalty box in that jam. Bigley, Smalls, and Boxcar taking a seat in that Camp Derby penalty box. That'll mean only 2 blockers on the track. The Duchesses have 3. We're going to get ourselves a timeout taken by the Duchesses. And again, timeouts are sponsored by Roller Derby Athletics. Brought to you by Roller Derby Athletics, official training partner of Toronto Roller Derby. Toronto would like to thank Roller Derby Athletics for making them safe, strong, and unstoppable for off-skate fitness training. Check out their programs at rollerderbyathletics.com.
And looking forward for the rest of this day, Roller Derby Quebec is going to be playing again here live on WFTDA.tv at 5 p.m. Eastern Time against the Tri-City Thunder, who are also up next against Queen City from Buffalo, New York. Then at 7 o'clock, you're going to see Toronto Roller Derby in pink, their A-team again against Queen City from Buffalo, New York. The Battle of the QEW, as it's known. And this will be a bit of a grudge match as they met in their first game at D1 playoffs last year in Omaha. A very tight game. The win did go to Queen City.
It did. So final jam victory for Queen City.
Yeah, it was an absolutely wild bout to watch. I watched it at work actually on WFTDA.tv, and there's a few people still left from that roster they're gonna want blood.
And again, Toronto really proving themselves in this first game of this tournament, showing that even with a really changed up roster, the depth of this league, the number of skaters that they have, they've been able to put together a once again solid all-star team for 2016.
Easy Gonzalez and Wolverina facing off on your 1234 Skate Co. Jammer line. A very small pack here. Only 2 CN Power skaters to defend against Easy Gonzalez and 3 RDQ. Wolverina takes the lead, Jammer status, and another penalty to Toronto is going to... we got a back block penalty going to Wolverina, so the cheers are coming. Lead Jammer status instead goes to Easy Gonzalez. Boxcar and Bigley rejoining this pack, and Easy Gonzalez squeaking by Commander Will Recker on her own out there.
Recker did manage to get a piece of her and hold her up for a second or two. Reinforcements have arrived for Toronto.
It's great timing by Commander Will Recker. Just unfortunately that those penalties expired just a tiny bit too late. Boxcar and Recker at the front here now, trying to stem the flow from Easy Gonzalez, who's already put up a 5-point grand slam. Wolverina returning to the track, panties stashed in hand. Betty Bomber joining her, looking like she's going to try some offense. Boxcar going to the box yet again. That's her 4th penalty. Wolverina pushing through, completing her initial pass. Easy Gonzalez looking a little battered here. Almost makes it out.
Multiplayer to Commander Will Recker near the end of that last jam, and just checking to see if anyone else is heading to that Camp Derby penalty box. 5 more points picked up by RDQ and Easy Gonzalez. A 10-point jam, 10-0 in favor of Les Duchesses. They now sit at 60 to Toronto's 140. Penalties for Toronto. Really starting to eat into that lead again. It's still 80 points, but we're mostly playing for ranking points. And considering that RDQ is an unranked team at the moment, they've got 2 games on the record, 2 sanctioned games on the books already. This weekend will make sure that the next public ranking will see Les Duchesses come out somewhere in the 300-plus teams that are out there. 355
full member teams in the WFTDA and another 81 apprentice leagues right now working on their membership. I'd say RDQ's chances of getting into a fairly decent ranking spot are good. I mean, yes, they are trailing in this game, but Toronto Roller Derby is an established team, and they've got an incredibly short bench, like you said.
And RDQ, up to this point, I had them ranked somewhere in the 150 to 170 range right now. But given the games that they've played this year, they played against one team that was properly seeded already, which was Muddy River, up at 107th, I believe. and they had a decent game against RDQ. RDQ had a decent game against them. And then the other team that they played was Capital City, and they were unranked. So that really would have affected their score. Pink's Lemonade update.
So we have an official timeout right now to, quote, sort out all the penalties. It is inside whiteboard, penalty wrangler. Those are tough jobs when you have a game like this where you're seeing, 4 blockers heading to the box at the same time. When you're seeing 2 blockers head to the box for the same penalty, it is getting very frantic out there. I could see Flying Brian when he called that penalty sort of pointing at the box, and in my head, I'm just kind of miming like, that's a bad place. Don't go there. Don't stay away from the bad place.
That's right.
Don't do the thing. Do the other thing. It's basically it.
Stay on the track.
I should be a coach.
Please stay on the track.
Please don't do the thing that I don't like you to do. Please don't do it.
He hasn't hit the begging or whining stage yet.
No.
Yeah. So again, this official timeout is brought to you by Roller Derby Athletics, rollerderbyathletics.com.
Of course, coming up after this game, we have Tri-City from Waterloo, Ontario, Kitchener-Waterloo, versus Queen City from Buffalo, New York. And on the stream, you'll be joined with Mr. Whistler and Derby Nerd.
If you must, yes. two very professional individuals.
12 o'clock noon today.
So the first part of this day all goes on evens. We got this 10 o'clock game, we got the noon game, we got the 2 o'clock game, which, again, someone from this table may be participating in.
Yeah.
In the B team game between the Toronto All-Star B team and Montreal's Sexpos who have come to visit. And then after that, we get there's an hour break in there. We go on to the odds again. So
it's for snacks.
It's for snacks.
Get your snacks.
Or supper or whatever you want. And so, yeah, the evening games are going to be at 5 o'clock tonight and 7 o'clock tonight. And again, that will be Tri-City Thunder against RDQ, the team playing today right now against Toronto. And then Toronto in that battle of the QEW against Queen City.
And that whistle means they got the penalties sorted out. We are okay. Toronto Roller Derby's defense, not great because there's only 2 of them against the 4 RDQ blockers. And that allows Beaten on the Quads to get lead jammer status. Beaver Mansbridge pushing through. And Betty Bomber headed to the penalty box yet again. A quick sweep. Only 1 blocker to beat to get all those ghost points for RDQ. 4-point pass for Beaten on the Quads. That happened in, 10 seconds? 12 seconds?
Very quick. Very, very quick. So I think Bomber might have been in the penalty queue already. I was pretty sure that she had a forearm penalty on the whiteboard that had not put a dot underneath it, indicating that she had been seated for that penalty. So I think they had to wait for a seat in the Camp Derby penalty box to open up for Bomber to be able to go over there. So still only 2 blockers on the track. It's get your kicks.
It seemed that way because she couldn't possibly have done anything in the time it took for them to send her to the box. Bigly Smalls and Getcha Kicks working on Mini Small at the front. Lexicon ending up against a big cluster of RDQ. Commander Will Recker trying to bust open that formation as she returns from the Camp Roller Derby penalty box, and Lexicon just swinging from in to out. She's now up against 2 RDQ blockers in the three RDQ blockers in the front. Mini Smalls just trying those lateral movements, trying to separate the Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars. Lead jammer to Mini Smalls from RDQ, closely followed by Lexicon.
So again, I'd like to see RDQ run this jam a bit, but I don't believe they're going to. Nope. They'll call that off. She'll grab 2. She'll put 2 more on the blue side of the scoreboard. Going to roll us up to 66 to the 140 of Toronto. Sponsors, make the world go round. Keeps you watching on WFTDA.tv or Layer 9. Roller Sports Canada, providing insurance and support for all Canadian roller sports. Visit them at rollersports.ca or on Facebook at RSC Roller Derby.
Commander Will Recker back in the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. I think that means she's picked up 3 penalties so far in this half, and we're just over 10 minutes in. Does not look good as she's a very important part of the Toronto Roller Derby defense. Divochka, meanwhile, facing off against Easy Gonzalez. She's got a full 4 blocker formation in the front, spreading out in order to keep pack as she pushes forth. She is your lead jammer for Toronto. And sneaking under, it looks like Victory Lap's arm. That's initial pass completed for Easy Gonzalez. Little bump at the back for Divochka. She hears her instructions. 2 points on the board for Pink Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars.
142-66 now is the score. 18 minutes, 30 seconds remaining in this first game of Quad City Chaos. Again, it is a WFTDA recognized tournament, and you're watching us on either WFTDA.tv or layer9.ca. Either way, glad to have you here. There's an eyeball up in the top right corner you can click on for rosters info, and if you want to make a donation to keep the broadcasts a-flowing.
Empty Camp Roller Derby penalty box as we start this jam. Wolverina playing a little with the other jammer from RDQ. Take her to the side, but then she picks up a penalty. Looks like a track cut penalty for Wolverina is going to mean a power jam for beating on the quads, who's already completed her initial pass. Getting squeezed by that Toronto Roller Derby offense. Stabby Road dropping back to try and slow her down, rejoining the formation. And now we're just going to have that slow slog until RDQ coming in with a sweep. Enough time for beating on the quads to make it through. She picks up a 5-point grand slam.
They looked a little unsure whether or not they wanted to go on to the O, but when it came, it worked.
One of the RDQ blockers just trying to keep Toronto away from each other as they try and set up. RDQ waiting in the back as Wolverina returns to the track. Star cover stashed in hand. And beat on the quads, about to call it, gets the no way Jose from her bench. Wolverina still on her initial pass. RDQ the only team scoring at the moment. Initial pass completed for Wolverina from Toronto Roller Derby, and now we're getting the hands on hips. 3 points picked up there by Les Duchesses, an 8-point jam for beating on the quads. Your score 142-74, 68 points separating these teams.
And it was 82 points at the half, so Les Duchesses winning the second half of this game. You know, we really saw that in the second half of the first half, where Les Duchesses were able to hang with Toronto's All-Stars, and now they've really outdone them in the second half. Penalties causing problems. Here, get ourselves a quick official timeout. Again, official timeouts brought to you by Roller Derby Athletics. RollerDerbyAthletics.com for all sorts of information.
Yeah, Toronto Roller Derby really falling apart with these penalties. We've got Boxcar and Bigley Smalls in the Camp Roller Derby penalty box yet again. So another start with only 2 blockers on the track.
And
it's
so
not
tough.
what you want.
No, it's so tough to maintain that momentum when your blockers keep cycling into the penalty box. And it's sort of that death spiral that you end up having. You know, the fact that you only have 2 blockers out there, they're trying extra hard to hold back that jammer, more likely to pick up penalties, more likely to end up in the penalty box once their compatriots return from the penalty box.
Yeah, the more desperate it gets, the farther you'll sink, the more you'll try, the more you'll dare. When it's just the 2 of you out there, or in some cases we saw just 1. And it looks to me that, if I can, just from where I'm sitting, that RDQ has sort of slowed their penalty sort of race across that whiteboard, and Toronto Roller Derby has, you know, in some cases, doubled already their first half penalty count.
And Toronto's not messing around; they're picking up penalties.
Yeah, they love those chairs. They're comfy chairs. This is a very high-level referee crew we have here as well. So, Minnie Smalls picking up lead jammer status. Beaver Mansbridge chasing her down. We have a 3-2 pack here, advantage to RDQ, and you can see it speed up. RDQ in the back, and will Minnie Smalls have enough time to sneak a point before Beaver Mansbridge has just shot her hips forward. 3-0 for RDQ, just under the gun there.
So in this half, RDQ's picked up 6 trips to the penalty box. They've got 24 now. Toronto, on the other hand, 14 trips to that Camp Derby penalty box. 36 with 22 in the first half. That means they've had 14 in this half. Yeah, that's telling the story right now on the scoreboard, and it's not just jammer penalties. It's a lot of blocker penalties that are really wearing Toronto down right now.
Well, and that jam was over so quickly that Bigley and Boxcar are still standing in the Camp Roller Derby penalty box, leaving 2 blockers on the track. And you saw these teams about tied for penalties at the half, and now we've seen Toronto Roller Derby put up more than double so far in this half. It's
so very, very light on the blockers this start of this jam. 12:34 skate coast start line's got an Easy Gonzalez and Lexicon, but only 2 blockers aside.
Both jammers choosing to race up the inside line. Lexicon taken out by the pivot. She picks up lead jammer status, just absolutely chased down by Easy Gonzalez, who streaked out of that pack. We're hearing a lot of yelling in this room. Lexicon beats Easy Gonzalez to the pack. Tries to get her hips around.
Let's see if she managed to land the foot down.
Not a single. Oh, 1 point. 1 point for that little hip swing.
Single point blocker is in the penalty box. So we might think they might have wanted 2 points on that one, but we'll see. Official timeout. Looks like an official review being taken by RDQ. Each team gets one each half, so why not? And again, as with all official timeouts, team timeouts, all of those things are brought to you by Roller Derby Athletics, the official training partner of Toronto Roller Derby. TORD would like to thank Roller Derby Athletics for making them safe, strong, and unstoppable. For off-skate fitness training, check out their programs at rollerderbyathletics.com. Now, Pink, we've been talking all about this Camp Derby penalty box, and we have so much wonderful things going on with Camp Derby.
I hope Camp Roller Derby is more fun than the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. Is it?
I imagine. I have to think it would be, even if the seats are comfortable.
Be.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Roller Derby Goes to Camp. Gather for a fun, nostalgic, back-to-basics camp weekend with skaters, officials, and organizers from derby leagues across Ontario. Weekend will foster both structured and casual opportunities for brainstorming, ideas sharing, and cooperation mixed with complimentary off-skate activities. Don't miss this unique camp program for fun, learning, and sharing with the greater roller derby community in Ontario. Camp will take place at the picturesque Camp Eden Woods in Haliburton, August 19th through 21st. You can find them online before the early bird offer ends on March 31st at camprollerderby.ca.
Roller Derby Goes to Camp. I like it.
I didn't have a chance to make it last year. It was during the playoffs, but I heard that it was a lot of fun. It wasn't just derby. It was a lot of relaxation, but a great chance for everybody to get out there into nature and recharge. If you have never visited the Haliburton area of Ontario, it is one of the many, many lovely and beautiful picturesque area of this province. Canada, well known for our nature.
Yes, it's cottage country, and for that weekend it becomes roller derby country as well.
So we're going to get a clarification on this official timeout from Joel Locksmith. 1 second, I'll find out.
And while we're looking at that clarification, I can tell you about tomorrow, Sunday, March 20th, when we're going to see a lot of these teams again. And we'll be joined by Royal City Roller Girls from nearby Guelph, Ontario. They won't be playing today, but tomorrow they'll be up against RDQ Les Duchesses, and that's at 1 p.m. tomorrow Eastern Time. And what's the word from the Zebras?
Well, it seems that Les Duchesses wanted a back block on the jammer from Toronto's All-Star team. They believed that the contact to the back allowed the jammer to advance past 2 blockers from Les Duchesses, which is not a legal thing to do. However, the contact was not to the back of the blocker that was hit, and therefore no penalty will be assigned.
Plot twist. It was not to the back. Worth a shot, though, and maybe this little time away can sort of help some of these skaters, I mean, on both sides, to really wind it down, lock it down, because penalties aren't fun to watch. It's not fun to watch jammers race by 2-3 skaters.
No.
I want to see more of that. Those punishing defense like we started to see at the high levels where you know the pack doesn't even move. The pack is here and it stays right here.
Scrums.
Yeah.
I don't know if we mentioned yet, but it looks that Soviet has picked up her 7th trip to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box, which means she is no longer in this game. That'll put RDQ down to 10 skaters remaining in this game.
7 penalties nets you a free trip to the change rooms for the rest of the game.
Little extra rest for the day.
Devachka making it out. She's your lead jammer, chased down by Beaton on the quads, who whips around monster muffin on the outside of that curve. She is caught up and surpassed Devotchka. Devotchka's looking at the box. She's looking at her bench. Calls off that jam, doesn't risk it.
Yeah, a little jammer defense going on. Really good to kill that clock. I believe Stabby Road is just standing in the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. And so Devotchka doing a good job of killing extra seconds off of her blockers penalty. Only 3 blockers again out there for Toronto, 4 for RDQ. Mini Small lining up with Wolverina just behind that. 12:34 Skate Co. start line.
And we have a 4-3 pack advantage to Roller Derby Quebec. Wolverina pushing up the inside. Mini Smalls being taken to that line as well by Getcha Kicks. Working here. Stabby Road rejoining. Oh, going up to do offense, actually. Never mind.
On a mission.
Oh, she came in so quickly and manages a hit out to the inside of the apex at the same time.
Getting it all done out there, Stabby.
Absolutely incredible instincts there and just such quick OD switch. We're seeing Wolverina now on her scoring pass. Squeaks through, picks up her 5-point Grand Slam. Mini Smalls with the star cover in hand. She has passed that off to the pivot. And just pivot being held up by a 3 formation from Toronto. Wolverina racing around the outside of the turn there. Picks up another 5-point Grand Slam. RDQ trying to switch to full O to get their skater out. Booty Allen, the pivot with a star, hit out to the outside of the straightaway. Wolverina now on her 3rd scoring pass, and it's going to be a 3rd Grand Slam if everything goes as planned. Booty Allen with the star on her helmet now, recycled back by Bigley Smalls and Stabby Road. Runs right into her blocker on the outside there. A 3rd Grand Slam on the board for Wolverina. She's at 15 points now in this jam. Just busts through that cube in the back. Getcha Kicks placing herself inside it.
It just shows what happens when Toronto has all their blockers on the track. They're able to just absolutely shut this down.
Yeah, and that's really the difference there in this game. Is their teamwork is really exceptional and a lot of strength, some good coaching. Initial pass finally completed by RDQ. Wolverina calls the jam. She got all 5 points in that last pass.
Biggest jam of the game, Pink's Lemonade, 20 points scored by Wolverina.
Wolverina originally an alt for this game, called up at the 11th hour, and just really showing how she's developed over the last year, what she can bring to the All-Stars. Your score 164-78 right now.
And I'll give another little shout out to Stabby Road with her fantastic offense and defense in that last jam. She was a favorite skater of mine a couple years ago when she used to play with the Royal City Bruteleggers. Bruteleggers will be playing RDQ tomorrow at 1 o'clock, so you can tune in and watch that. You'll see me coaching.
Ooh. Beaver Mansbridge hitting the ground. It's a lead jammer status for RDQ. It looks like that might be Easy Gonzalez. Yes, it is. Chased out by Beaver Mansbridge, and RDQ bringing up the back of the pack, racing forward for a sweep, trying to create some of that chaos. Nice fast pack for Easy Gonzalez. She manages 1, calls off the jam.
164-79 the score. 11 minutes remaining in this first game of Quad City Chaos 2016. Again, after this game, you will see Tri-City Thunder going up against the Queen City Lake Effect Furies. Nerd Roller Skates is your dedicated roller skate shop with everything you need for derby, rink, or park. Visit them online at www.nerdskates.com, offering free shipping in Canada on orders over $150. Nerd Roller Skates for people who roll.
On your 12:34 Skate Co Jammer line, it's Lexicon versus Beat on the Quads. Lexicon racing up the center, just pushing that formation. She picks up lead. Jammer beating on the quads, taken to the outside of the curve, racing up, trying to pass Stabby Road. It looks like a nice recycle here from Toronto Roller Derby, but she makes it out of the front of that pack. Penalty to Lexicon is going to mean a power jam for Roller Derby Quebec. That's a track cut to the pink jammer for Toronto. Beating on the quads, trying to keep that speed up, trying to take advantage of that scatteredness. We see another blocker penalty for Toronto as Getcha Kicks takes a seat in the Camp Roller Derby penalty box.
Toronto back into that penalty spiral one more time.
RDQ just trying to keep Stabby Road and Bigley apart. And it's a 5-point grand slam on the board for Beaten on the quads. She's picked up 10 points now in this jam.
Bigley doing a nice job on that last pass, staying within 10 feet of that pack, though.
Yeah.
That was star pass.
Again, a spread out, quick pack. Star pass to Bigley Smalls. She is now your jammer of record. 14 points on the board for RDQ and still going. Choosing not to call off the jam. The RDQ running it. Bigley Smalls picks up 0 points in that pass. Looks like that was
initial
star
pass.
Cover issue. Initial pass? All right.
Yep.
Things have slowed down a little bit now. Bigley Smalls being held up by the defense from RDQ. A star pass for RDQ as well to Fifi Vabeshi. She is wearing the star cover now. 5 points in the air for Bigley Smalls. That jam reaches its natural conclusion. 5 more points for RDQ. So having lead jammer status, they still chose to run it. 18-point jam combined between Izzy Gonzalez and Fifi Vabeshi. 8 points on the board for Toronto Roller Derby. Your score 172-97.
And while we are a bilingual country, not all of us have a great handle on French, myself being one of them.
Myself
and so
being two
we
of them.
apologize to all our friends and compatriots
Je m'excuse.
for the butchering of all the French names during this game.
You're so beautiful. Your language is so beautiful. I just didn't pay attention in school.
We do such a disservice.
Yeah, really sorry.
They didn't have French immersion when I was a kid, but man,
No.
I wish they did.
No. I learned like avoir and être and like how to say like pumpkin in French by the time I graduated elementary school. The system failed us, guys. The system failed us.
172-97 is the score. An 18-8 point jam has brought RDQ within 3 of the century mark. They've more than doubled the points that they scored in the first half, having a great second half against Toronto. Toronto only able to put 50 points up in this half, 57 for Les Duchesses.
Yeah. Les Duchesses really good at taking advantage of those fast packs, those disorganized moments where people are entering or exiting the box. No one knows exactly how many buddies they've got on the track, and they just keep it fast. The jammers don't miss the beat. They don't slow down.
And, you know, for Les Duchesses, even to get a 2-1 loss in this game would be a huge victory on their part, given the number of ranking points available to them. So
they're just happy to be here.
Oh, yeah.
Minnie Smalls and Devotchka facing off. Minnie Smalls in the blue. She is your lead jammer for RDQ. Devotchka racing up, getting around that pivot. Number 27, Booty Allen. Toronto Roller Derby taking the front. A little antagonism here from RDQ as their jammer approaches. A push, a whip. It's not going to be enough to pick up any points. A 0-0 jam.
Minnie Small, a little unhappy that she ran into her own blocker trying to come through that pack. Wasn't able to pick up any points, but
she looked like she tried to push her, and then she went, you know what, never mind, and then she pulled her jersey. And I love me a good jersey whip, but it can backfire.
It can indeed, especially if
I find myself saying so often, I'm sorry, friends, sorry.
Sorry for throwing you
so
to the concrete.
Yeah, sorry for stepping over your head just now.
Wolverina versus Izzy Gonzalez on that 12:34 skate co start line.
Checkerboard pack here. Everyone a little split up. Some offense from Boxcar paying off as Wolverina picks up lead jammer status. Monster Muffin taking Izzy Gonzalez to the inside.
Wolverina with 20 points on her last jam out there, looking to match that one more time.
Having an absolutely incredible game. And it's a I couldn't.
It did look like there was possibly a track cut, but she was trying to signal the call off. No call is going to be made against her. She will grab all 4 points.
3 points.
Make it 3 points.
Yeah.
So not all 3 points. She did grab all 3 that she could get.
I wonder if that referee was in the middle of calling someone else. He looked so hesitant. He was doing one thing and he's like, wait, no, we're done. Everyone's
Never mind.
go home.
We're
done.
Just go play derby.
Yep.
So 175 to 97 to score, 6 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this game. Toronto in the lead over Roller Derby Quebec's Les Duchesses.
And Boxcar has received her 7th penalty. She is taking off the stripe. Betty Bomber will serve that penalty in the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. And it's bye-bye Boxcar for the last 6.5 minutes of the game.
Both Bigley Smalls and Commander Will Recker sitting at 5 trips to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box as well. So we'll have to see if they manage to stay in.
And the only other Toronto Roller Derby players in trouble, we've got 5 for Commander Will Recker and 5 for Bigley Smalls.
And 5 over on the Douche Newcomb side for Les Duchesses.
Beaver Mansbridge versus Beat on the Quads. Beat on the Quads racing up that hair's width on the outside to cinch lead jammer status. Beaver Mansbridge chasing her down. Again, another fast, frantic pack. Everyone racing to get at the front and trap those points for their jammer. Will Beat on the Quads risk it, and she won't.
No, Toronto did a great job of staying in front of the pack. Nobody got picked off. All the points were kept safe. There was just no way that Beat on the Quads could pick up any points without giving up any points. So nice work on Toronto to force that call off. Even though they didn't get lead jammer, they still managed to force the call off and save the points. 175 to 97. RDQ still doing better than that 2-1 deficit. 5.5 minutes remaining in this game.
We are in the waning moments of this game as Minnie Smalls goes up against Lexicon. Lexicon squeezing on the inside, picks up lead jammer status, and we've already got a star stash. Minnie Smalls races past Bigley Smalls, completes her initial pass. Betty Bomber rejoining from the penalty box. Again, a lot of speed, a lot of chaos. A big hit on the outside of turn 2, forces the call off. 2 points picked up by Toronto Roller Derby in that last pass. Your score 177 to 97, 80 points separating these teams.
And once again, 1234 Skate Go. The goal of 1234 Skate Go is to educate skaters on skate maintenance and injury prevention from a gear and skate perspective. Go see Lucid Lou at the 1234 Skate booth. You can't do that. You can ask for a cell number, but you can go to her. You can send her emails. You can go to her website. She's dedicated to this sport, and she will make sure your skates work just fine. 1234skateco.com.
Two of the people who are dedicated to this sport, Devachka and Easy Gonzalez, facing off with the Jammer Stars. Commander Will Recker trying a bit of offense in the beginning there, rejoining her group, but Easy Gonzalez with a back block penalty is going to send her to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box, and that means a power jam for Toronto. Betty Bomber heading as well. Lead jammer status going to Devachka. This is a power jam again for Toronto Roller Derby, but with only three blockers on the track.
Be interesting to see if they decide to run this with Devo or if they decide to call it off and freeze Easy in the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. We'll see. They might be tempted to try to get a power start out of this as well.
RDQ again more powerful together. 4 blockers doing the recycle over and over and over again with Devachka at the front doing an admirable job keeping an eye on that pack. She finally squeaks by. Easy Gonzalez is back in play. Rosemary's Rabies being goaded by the RDQ blockers. Big hit from Betty Bomber on the inside of turn 1. She's going to recycle Easy Gonzalez all the way back to her teammates. Devachka working on a second scoring pass now.
With all the blockers back on the track for Toronto, Easy having no luck at all, Pink.
Star stash here from RDQ. And again, Toronto Roller Derby with 4, really dominating on the track. And we have a penalty.
Blocking out of bounds on Easy Gonzalez. Forced her way back onto the track from out of bounds, straight back into that Camp Roller Derby penalty box. Devo with a double power jam.
14 points on the board already for Devachka. 10 seconds left in this jam, and they will start on a power jam.
Devo's had enough.
3 points on the board, in that last pass. A 17-point jam for Devachka. Your score 194 to 97, stretching that lead to 97 points.
Clock stopped at 2 minutes and 35 seconds remaining in this game. For Toronto, looking to regain they're at exactly 2-1 right now over RDQ.
Toronto lined up on the inside line. You can tell they've got something planned. A cube formed by RDQ, and it's just decimated by that strong Toronto defense. Lead jammer immediately going to Wolverina. Easy Gonzalez standing in the penalty box. And another quick chance at offense. Getcha kicks headed to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box. Number 8 from RDQ following her, Douche Newcomb.
It's number 6 for her.
Wolverina still held up on that first scoring pass. RDQ star stash from Izzy Gonzalez, still trying to complete her initial. Trying to take the lines, just absolutely no help. Forearm penalty to Monster Muffin's going to send her to the Camp Roller Derby penalty box.
Smiles at the bench as she goes.
Wolverina on her second scoring pass. Stabby Rowe just toying with Easy Gonzalez in the back. She's looking for the pass. Pivot in the back. Fifi Vabeshi takes the star, manages to get through the pack unnoticed. Another 5 on the board for Wolverina.
We're down to about 90 seconds remaining in this game, heading into last jam territory. Toronto getting over that double century mark, 204 to 97 on that 10-0 run. Wolverina again having an absolutely fantastic second half, being called up as a last-minute alt for the injured Mad Megs. We've had confirmation that Mad Megs has a concussion, will not be playing this weekend. It's a real loss for Toronto as she is a formidable jammer in the rotation. But Toronto doing her proud. And Wolverina stepping in and getting it done.
Mad Megs, one of only 3 skaters on this charter who were present at QCC last year skating for CN Power, now the Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars.
Yeah, I mean, Megs was one of those, how will Megs fit in with Toronto's All-Star team last year at QCC? It was our first real look at her to see how she would work within the structure of the All-Stars, and she became a mainstay very quickly, a fan favorite, very physical jammer, but out for the weekend. But Wolverina filling in ably.
So 1 minute 3 seconds left of period time. We've got Flying Brian Kilman having a bit of a chat with the referee crew. That's Toronto Roller Derby's official timeout for the half. Probably looking to get Monster Muffin out of the box so he can start strong in this last jam.
And again, official timeouts brought to you by Roller Derby Athletics, official training partner of Toronto Roller Derby. TORD would like to thank Roller Derby Athletics for making them safe, strong, and unstoppable. For off-skate fitness training, check out their programs at rollerderbyathletics.com. So yeah, very strong second half on the part of Les Duchesses from Quebec City, Quebec, la Belle Provence. And they put up 57 points to their 40 in the first half. Really took advantage of Toronto's penalty troubles. But we've seen what we expected to see from Roller Derby Quebec this weekend, that they are a strong, tough, smart team. They still need a little more seasoning, I think, before they can climb into the top 50, top 60 rankings. But man, they're going to give a lot of teams trouble. Pink Slaminade, that official review.
Flying Brian Kilman requesting a blocking with the head penalty against the blue jammer in the last jam. But inside pack ref and outside pack ref agree there was no contact made with the head, so no call stands.
So we're going to head into last jam territory with that 1 minute and 3 seconds remaining. 4-on-3, 3-on-3 pack to start this. And on that 12:34 skate coast start line, beat on the quads. Beaver Mansbridge.
Pivot line start. What year is it? Beaver Mansbridge coming in with a lot of speed, being taken out on the outside line by Bloody Poppins, beaten on the quads, sort of cycling from inside to outside. It's Beaver Mansbridge with your lead jammer status in pink for Toronto. Commander Will Recker recycling to the front, just missing, beaten on the quads. Racing out of that pack, Beaver Mansbridge looking for a quick pickup, coming in really low, trying to get those hips around. Quick call off. 4 more points on the board for Toronto Roller Derby, and we will have another jam.
One more jam, why not?
One more jam. One more jam.
It has been an interesting game. Again, this is really the first chance we've had to see RDQ play at this level of derby. Again, if you were lucky enough, they were out in Moncton, Muddy River, holding the tournament out there. There was a broadcast of those games, but it was hard to tell what the skill level of RDQ was during that. But now you're seeing it. Now you're seeing that they're holding their own with Toronto in this game in the second half.
And yeah, when their defense, when they've got a full contingent of defense, especially when there's no outside intervention, they can hold the Toronto Jammers. It's just a lot of offense here coming from Toronto, and again, a lot of scattered, frantic packs. It's a great move for any jammer. A little jump at the end for Lexicon. She calls that jam. 4 points on the board. Your unofficial final score: 212 Toronto, 97 Roller Derby Quebec.
And so, yeah, Roller Derby Quebec answering that question, what kind of force are they going to be in the WFTDA? There are some up-and-coming Canadian WFTDA teams that are not ranked yet. You already have the likes of Rideau Valley in Montreal, Terminal City, Tri-City, Toronto, Calgary, all knocking on playoffs' door. Roller Derby Quebec, another one of those teams that you're going to have to look out for. And we also had the question answered during this game about the Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars. Very new look team, lots of new skaters, but Pink's Laminate, I think that you have to say that they answered the first test that they've been given of 2016 quite well.
They done good, and again, it's the teamwork, it's the defensive work that was, I think, the biggest test of, can a group of skaters, an almost entirely fresh A charter team, come together, work with each other? What do you do when no one is the old guard? What do you do when everybody is new to this and new to each other? And it really shows how much they've been working together. And of course, Canadian Roller Derby, RDQ included, sort of bleeding into the WFTDA scene. We have 2 Canadian playoff cities in Division 1 this year, Montreal and Vancouver. We're coming.
That's very exciting.
We smell like maple syrup, and we're adorable, and we're coming.
So again, the first game of Quad City Chaos ends with the hosts winning 212-97 over Roller Derby Quebec's Les Duchesses. We will have another game coming up at noon Eastern Daylight Savings Time. That's going to be Tri-City Thunder from Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, Ontario, just down the road, playing against Queen City's Lake Effect Furies. You'll see that in a little bit. Captain Lou Alabamo.
Pink's Lemonade.
You've been watching WFTDA.tv and Layer9.ca.